Well, guys, I just wanted to throw this in real quick before we get to today's recording from Hot Topic Tuesday, because no sooner did we wrap that up and what do I find but this headline of Zillow suing Compass and MRED, which is the Chicagoland MLS. And they're basically alleging that Compass and MRED have conspired to restrict trade by not allowing the Compass listings to be shared with Zillow. So, bottom line is as we were talking, there's news every day. And in the Chicagoland area, they have the Coldwell Banker Realty offices that are corporately owned offices that have elected to say, I don't want to share my listings with Zillow. But of course, Compass is a big dog, and we know what we've talked about today. And if you weren't on the call, well, hang tight. You'll get more of what we've got. But it was just interesting to finish today's call, open up, and see this headline. So with that, here's today's Hot Topic Tuesday. That's a whole lot better. Good afternoon, everybody. It is May 12th, 2026, and today we are going to talk a whole lot about the simplicity. I'm going to get my screen set. I've been trying to do a few things differently here. What's been going on in the real estate market, and a big part of that is going to be this, the MLS. One of the primary things that we should all be concerned about is what's going on with the MLS. So I've got a prepared presentation, but here's what we know. The real estate market, a little bit of normalization, meaning our inventory is going up. Good news is we always still like to see sale prices go up. That's just who we are as far as our investments and things going in the right direction. We know that interest rate, well, until we get things set in the Middle East, interest rates are still going to be a little bit, what's the word, unsettling. We know that I've heard from one of our mortgage people that they can't even lock in loans right now. So it does impact us from that level. Housing inventory, again, as we said, going up. Average days on the market going up. Yet, here's what we all are experiencing. Put a home on the market at a good price in a quality home that doesn't need anything done with it. How long is it taking to sell? About 7 days or less. So it might take a little bit more, but the good news for home buyers, they've got choices also. I would tell you the biggie is do not be afraid to make offers, because back in the day, an offer that was 10% below the asking price was not a bad offer. And a lot of buyers are afraid to make an offer even at 5% below. So remember, it's an asking price. We need to be able to tell whether or not it's a great asking price or if it's a bad one. If it's a bad one, look, what's the actual value? So we need to keep all of that in mind with what's going on. We also know, as we hear most recently, Real acquired Remax. Now, there's a lot of questions out there with the experts as to why. But bottom line is they did. And you also know that we've had EXP who acquired Next Home, Compass, and Anywhere merging together. We've got places like, what's that one real estate company that all they started out with is just being on the internet, and they just wanted our information so that they could help disseminate it. And then they grow so big, they charge us for the leads that they generate. They wanted our information and they used it. They've used it. Well, guess what? They were smart and ahead of the rest of the industry. So what is everybody else? They're after our information. What's one of the big keys to all of these mergers, acquisitions, MLSs consolidating? It's about our information. We take a listing, we put it into a system, and way back when, we gave it to all of these others to do what we could have should have been doing all along. Of agent and broker branded portals. What are they doing? They're competing against the beast, Zillow, Realtor.com. And there's the MLS data monetization, the industry's attention to licensing our listing data to sharing and a member benefit. Now, here's the big key. For most of us, we have MI Real Source, a broker-owned, local broker-owned MLS. I don't believe that's changed. We have Real Comp, which local associations own. So we still control our data in this local area. And I believe for GLAR and others that our company takes care of, we're in the same situation. So even from a point of us being under two franchises under Compass, we still control the information, what we get to do with it, how that works. Of course, the biggie is that we're looking for the transparency in all of this also. So with these mergers, these acquisitions, what's really the key? It's the influence. What's going on? There's a whole lot of little guys, and I think everybody knows that I serve on the board of directors for the North Oakland County Board of Realtors. So I've got some, we'll call it latest information, at least involving North Oakland County Board of Realtors and RealComp. North Oakland County Board of Realtors, by the way, the largest Board of Realtors association in the state of Michigan. So there's a lot that's going on, and a constant, what are we going to be doing within the MLS? What do we need from our MLSs? So they're constantly looking for that. But what we've got is there is a, I don't know if I call it a fear or a concern, mostly by smaller brokers and smaller MLSs because of the control of the information. With the mergers of all these big dogs, here is a concern. What if Anywhere said, we control all that information, it's ours. We are not going to share it with any others. What if then Zillow, what if all the other big dogs and their franchises keep all of their information to themselves? Well, the biggie is that obviously Compass is not concerned. They're the biggest dog out there. But what about, and I actually heard one person within the board state, look, I'm me and a few other agents. What am I going to do? I mean, if this were to happen and everybody started controlling it, is it force me to become part of a franchise? So the little guys actually have a concern with all of what's going on out there. Again, it's changing. The landscaping of real estate is changing quickly, almost on a daily basis right now. Something new has come up. So, bottom line, they're looking for better standards, more what's consistent platforms. The names in the MLSs being the same, so that when something is a shared data, that if I call it a bedroom over here, it's a bedroom over here, like bedroom one, bedroom two. That level means. So there's a company out there that they actually created within the real estate industry to be able to make all of those things come together and have that standardization. So let's talk real comp because it is the largest serving our people, but you need to know all of this information. So they've got some different things, but it starts with some of their policies. Um, Updated mandatory fields. All of the MLSs have that. The requiring of photos to be able to make the listing active. Um, Sellers being able to opt out of the MLS submission via signed seller instructions, otherwise an office exclusive, but that has to be turned in. And one of the primary reasons for that is because, let me make sure I've got my slides right here, uh, clear cooperation. If you didn't know it, the Realtor organization created what they refer to as the Clear Cooperation Program. It's a policy. And at the core of it is exactly what it says here. Listing agents must submit a listing to the MLS within one business day of any public marketing activity. Try to think of something, it's still public marketing. If you do a video going, hey, see this house behind me? Well, that's going to be on the market soon. You just started publicly marketing it. Now, do this and then do this. That person has probably violated the clear cooperation policy. Yep, Facebook Marketplace. Um, put a sign in a window. Well, it's not front yard. Yep, but you started publicly marketing it. If you sent out a text, public marketing. Okay. So that is clear cooperation. It says that we will cooperate. The only way that we get away without doing that is if the seller says, I don't want that to happen, in which case we need to have documents to back it up as to when that is to start, that I can publicly market it, but it's office exclusive until. All right. So they give you the different things here: the yard sign, social media, the flyers, emails, any public facing advertising on a property. So why does it matter? It's because of the equality. There's the basis that all the buyers deserve a right, if you will, to see a property. There's a question on how you define pocket listings, but it's to help prevent pocket listings. Now, if you've got one that's in hand and seller said or somebody said, gee, Irana, if you ever had someone who wanted to buy a house like mine, you could call me. Well, that is not a pocket listing as to what we're looking for. A pocket listing is I have a listing in my hand and I got it in my pocket. I just haven't told everybody else about it because I want to call all of my people. I want to give all of my buyers a chance first. Okay. So the aspect of transparency, and then of course the protects the relevance of the MLS. If
When
we, yep, go ahead.
does that, if my aunt, I have my aunt's house in my pocket, does it have to be listed or under contract?
To be a pocket listing.
Yes, it has to be under contract.
Yeah, because
Okay.
otherwise, if it's not, and I go, hey guys, see this house behind me? It's coming on the market in 5 days. Anybody could
Okay.
still go and take that listing.
Okay, I get it.
Okay. So, but if you have the listing and you go, see this house? It's going to be on the market in 5 days. Well, you just put it to where tomorrow it needs to be in the MLS. Make sense, guys?
Yes.
So, here's some of the keys that we need to take a look at if we were to think that any of that is viable, but coming soon listings. What we're really talking about is we want to do coming soon. Coming soon says, for marketing purposes or for photos or whatever else it might be, I am going to have this listing that I have, submit it to the MLS, begin all of the marketing, but not available for showing until, well, definition is listings marketed as coming soon before they are active and showable, signaling pre-market availability to buyers and agents without yet permitting the showings or offers. That's coming soon status. The MLS rules, and most rules for most MLSs with this, so whether it's 5 days or 7 days or 2 days, whatever it may be, you need to find out from your local MLS. Real comp, I can tell you, 5 days. Well, they're permitting this coming soon status with those specific restrictions. By the way, what if I violate those restrictions? Is it a code of ethics issue? Have I violated a code of ethics? Most of you don't want to say. Here's the key. You've clearly, I'm going to say you've clearly violated the rules and regulations of the MLS. And I would tell you that it's possible, and I haven't gone into the articles or the standards of practice within the code of ethics, but there's a good possibility that you have violated the code of ethics by not making a property available, by not, there's a number of things that it could be. I want you to think about that. The restrictions are no showings, no offers. Everybody gets the opportunity. So why do it? Well, it's a pre-marketing buzz. You ever think of an auction effect? When somebody wants it, somebody else wants it. What happens to the price? Okay. So that's the whole reason that we probably will do coming soon. It would be like, let's put a house on the market on Thursday. I'm going to do an open house on Sunday at 1. When does it become active? Sunday at 1. And that's when all of the showings and everything could start. To give everybody an equal access. And of course, best practice. All right. So those are some of the real clear rules. And I'm going to put on the reading glasses and check my notes. And let me just see if there's any other very specific. All the rules, photos got to be in. Um, coming soon. You can have an open house, but that's when it switches to active. Yep. Coming soon listings are not permitted to be marketed in a manner other than coming soon. While in coming soon status, the property is viewable by the general public with the coming soon banner and the activation date conspicuously displayed. So it is a coming soon status and you can't market it any other way. And oh, by the way, if you're the listing agent, it's saying you can't show it either. You can't let anybody in the office show it. You can't let anyone in another office show it. Well, in the coming soon status, the listing will change automatically to active on the date that we put in. Once it goes active, you can't make it a coming soon for another 90 days. That's one that you probably wouldn't even think of doing, but once a coming soon listing changes to active, it must remain active and be available for showings and cooperation for a minimum of 24 hours. So you make it available tomorrow at 9 a.m., it will remain active until 9 a.m. on Thursday. There's no accepting offers the day before.
Hey, Darwin.
Yes.
On number 3, seller benefits, is saying that it's without accumulating days on market. But on Real Comp, it starts day one as a coming soon. So is that just something that NAR?
Let me just check real quick specifically. I think that is still more of a NAR issue because we did talk about the aspect of the days on market and that we as agents, it's one of the biggest issues that we have because most of us don't want it to start until it's active. So I think that's something that's out there. The Board of Governors is taking it to and see whether or not that's something that will happen. So I believe that Real Comp still starts the clock on the day it's coming soon, which I will tell you for me, I'm okay with that. I started marketing it the day it went coming soon. I'm doing it for a reason because I want all of that build up. And, come on, what's 5 days, really? But there's a lot of people that think that makes a big difference on what their record looks like, although most of them don't even know what their days on market is. So I believe it does start, but I'll address it from another issue also on something else coming up. Okay. Let me check my notes, see if there's anything else on that one. There is not. All right. So let's take a look at this one. It has been offered and proposed to have what they call a PLN. I got to tell you, I never heard of it until I was in this meeting and listening with Miss Karen Cage. Private listing network. You may also hear it as a pre-marketing listing network. So the bottom line is the MLS threw it out there, but there was a lack of response from broker members that they weren't overly concerned to have a PLN, which would simply be this. In our case, we could take all of our offices, both brands, and create a pre-license network where we put everything in as we do right now, and we get to market it to all of our offices before it would officially go out there. So as they say, the sellers can opt in. And it's one of the biggies that I believe it was Compass. It was trying to drive. Because what's the benefit of holding it to our company? we get the opportunity to make more money. We as the listing agent, we as a company, we benefit. Yeah, Lisa, you hit it. We are the ones who are most likely to benefit. Are there circumstances where maybe a seller could benefit? Yeah, yeah, it might be some of the multi-million dollar properties. They want to make sure it's regulated, who's coming in, again, fair housing, but who's coming in, who's watching it, who's showing it, and they may want it to be specifically with a company. That's Compass's point, I know, before the merger, but here's the issue to that. Yeah, Lisa, do you want to explain why you say that? Because I believe you're right on. She might be in a listening mode only. Here's the problem with that. We as a company do not have an issue with dual agency, but it might be an issue because it might force the dual agency situation. It's not ideal for the seller to have dual agency, and that might force it if we were to have that. So that's one of the biggest issues to holding that. Um, Not to mention, a seller could really say, well, you weren't working within my best interest when you did that. But again, privacy control, testing the market, see what it's doing, what's the early interest. They can figure all that out. What's the industry's concern about it? Otherwise, when you take a look at the big picture, as it puts here, the risk of creating a two-tiered market, then the potential undermine clear cooperation, and the questions about fair housing implications. It kind of comes out without even thinking about it. All right. So that's the private listing network. It's something that has been proposed, nothing done with it. So here's your takeaways. The market is constantly transitioning. There is a consolidation of all the market. Everybody wants to control it, and everybody wants it. If we hadn't given it to Zillow, Zillow wouldn't exist. The PLN, it's got to be looked at. There are benefits, there are drawbacks. Well, then there's the wrap up to it. Data control is the defining issue of the next era. So let me give you one other that you need to know about. And that's, and it just, by the way, came into my head as I'm talking about Realcom. Who's familiar with the term open MLS? Anybody? Open MLS. Open MLS simply means you'd have to hold a license to have access to the MLS, but you would not have to be a realtor. So, guys, this is something that is out there. Realcomp actually had a suit filed against them, along with the members, the ownership, meaning the associations, obviously NAR, and they were suing to force Realcomp to become an open MLS. Well, good news is that they lost. Now you say that's the good news. But there's an appeal. So we could still be forced. And if you're thinking, well, that's Realcomp. That's not GLAR. That's not MI Real Source. No, not yet. Realcomp does have a committee investigating what it would take to convert to an open MLS. So as I share with you, you need to have an open mind. And I use this one often. We need to have a mind like a parachute. The parachute works best when it's open, fully and completely functioning at 100%. What's the drawback to having an open MLS? You got to have a license. And by the way, when you think of it from that perspective, what do I care if I have more real estate agents wanting to show my properties? My primary interest is to be able to get that sold at the highest possible price. Ah, Lisa, it would be you. Yes, the unethical behavior. So what would we have to do to make sure that realtors, well, what do we do as realtors? We have a code of ethics. What would the MLS have to do for non-realtors? Create a code of ethics. Now, they'll call it something different. I bet it's going to look pretty much the same way.
But don't appraisers have access to MLS so that they can do their work? But
Yep.
they're not realtors.
Yes, they are.
They are. Oh, okay, sorry.
They have to be able to have that access. So now, Sandra, guess who would be the first ones to probably drop the realtor membership?
Appraisers.
You got it. Most will create, or let me rephrase that, most will keep their affiliation as realtors because they see the benefits that the realtor name comes along with it. So there are a few large, very large open MLSs out there where member associations have converted their MLS to an open MLS and they lost a fraction as as realtor associates. So that's what they've discovered so far. But listen, as real estate agents, what do we want? Access to listings. And here, let me say it again. As real estate agents, what do we want? Easy, simple access to be able to find and show listings. Do we care if it's a realtor, really? Not as long as they're ethical. Listen, I also sit as a chairman of Pro Standards. I've sat as a co-chair of a grievance committee. You can see, you now get the picture of my whole office. You don't really want to see that, so I'll do this. So guys, here becomes the bottom line to it. I believe it's going to happen. I think that's going to happen. I don't know when. I, for one, think it's going to be a good thing for real estate. When it will happen, I don't know. But I kind of expect that it will happen. So let me say that's it for now and go, what questions might you guys have? And see, hopefully, if I can hear you.
We just wait and see.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Now that light's right on. I look like I'm an angel. I'm glowing with that halo. Yeah, I think it's a wait and see, but I'll tell you in the end, with everything that I've looked at, one, I believe it's going to happen. We've got to get past but they're mine, and know that I believe it's going to be a benefit. And let's face it, because you've heard it before, I believe the DOJ is trying to break up the realtor organization. So it's even, you've heard the discussion of a national MLS. Well, again, what are we as individuals going to do? We're going to go after what's going to work for us and our clients best. Any other thoughts? Any other questions? So here's what I want you to do. Share what you've learned today. The last I saw, we were right around 40 individuals who have logged in. We've got 800 within our company. Share what you learned today. Get the discussion going. And if you've got questions, let me know. I'm always happy to make sure I can come out to the offices and hit sales meetings and so on to be able to answer whatever questions we can do. So, well, guys, if you've got nothing else, we're going to put a wrap on it and we'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great one, guys.
Bye, Darwin. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye now.